right here.
We'll start with the prayer by Commissioner Thomas, followed by Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us.
Please join us. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We just thank you for this time to be together. We just acknowledge that we're just broken servants, just here to serve, and we just ask you to be present with us tonight and just give us your guidance and your wisdom in everything that we do. Thank you for all the citizens that turn out and those that watch at home, and just bless each and every one of them. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I have an item, we have additional info on information for tab 11. I think each one of you have that.
Okay, but it's not changing the agenda. You said Charlie was going to make
it. That's just an add-on. Charlie's not going to make it. I was mistaken. That's the next meeting. I'm sorry. That was my bad.
Write this day down. Nobody pulled anything from the consent. All right, do we have a motion on the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second. Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Next citizens to be heard. Katie, you have any? You can speak now or at the end of the meeting, either choice. David? Does it talk now? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. David Damon, Crawfordville. Well, last meeting was really kind of interesting, so this is a bit of a follow-up from that. At home, we are taught that if we borrow something from someone, you take care of it and return it in better condition than when you borrowed it. In Scouts, we have a program called Leave No Trace, where we teach about taking care of to leave nothing but footprints when you hike or you camp. In church, we are taught about stewardship. As the son of a minister, stewardship was an integral part of growing up in my family and in our church. It was refreshing to read in the Wakulla News the recent editorial from the Wakulla Christian Coalition. It was quite lengthy, but it was a great article. And it deals with the issue of stewardship, Christianity, and churches. And it applies it to the wetlands issue. And I haven't heard much of that, but I think it's time we brought that up for discussion. In the article, one of the quotes, it says, in Ezekiel, the Bible mentions not destroying what we have been given. As for you, my flock, it is not enough for you to feed on good pasture. Must you also trample the rest of your pasture with your feet? It is not enough for you to drink clear water. Must you also muddy the rest with your feet? I think that applies to what we're doing here in this county. We're trampling our wetlands. It's inexcusable. That's your plan. As 4 of our commissioners spend all this energy and a tremendous amount of taxpayer money on this issue, I'd like to see what that's adding up to. Trying to pass their agenda to eliminate protection of our wetlands by local control. As 4 commissioners try to stop citizens from their basic right to vote in every way they can, every citizen in Wakulla County should be outraged. As I hear Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Moore, both with real estate interests, mislead citizens over and over again, and in this last meeting they engaged in personal attacks of individuals opposed to their agenda. I'm outraged. Do we live in some communist country where government officials are allowed to slander and persecute those that disagree with them on an issue? Has the bar of decency been lowered to the point where citizens that might not agree with commissioners should now do PowerPoints to show some of the very questionable business dealings by members of our BoCC? Is that what we're getting to? I'd like to think not. I find it shameful that someone in this last meeting could lead a prayer and then spend all that energy and spend all that time attacking individuals that didn't agree with them. It's shameful. Anyway, I urge every minister in Wakulla County to address this stewardship with their congregation. Invite a member of the Wetlands Coalition to come and talk to your people, the Wetlands Alliance, rather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. James Hennessy?
Good evening, Commissioners.
I think it's time for us all to take a step back and try to look at the big picture. After so much consternation, where is this wetlands issue headed? It seems that the board has remained steady on a course that will end, at least temporarily, with the repeal of all local wetlands protections, specifically wetland buffers. The board indicates that buffers are stopping property owners from making full use of their land, and that we will all be better off if that is allowed. But are we to believe that a county with flooding issues will be better off without the buffer vegetation that protects wetlands and reduces flooding? That a county with pollution issues and routine beach closings will be better off without the additional filtration provided by buffers? That a county whose fisheries are hurting will be better off by having the wetland nurseries further stressed and the clean water necessary for oysters and scallops further compromised? That a county whose lifeblood is ecotourism will be better off than having our world-class springs, rivers, and coastal marshes and the resident wildlife further harmed? That a county with declining property values, a newspaper filled every week with foreclosure notices. We currently have over 500 properties in foreclosure in this county, including a golf course now 2 times. Thousands of available platted lots with no buildings on them, and currently approximately 1,000 properties listed for sale. But we need more development? And who exactly is going to be rushing to buy property near polluted beaches or with wetlands, given skyrocketing flood insurance and the expense of building to state regulations in flood zones and coastal areas susceptible to hurricanes? And while you all have been informed by our county attorney that there have been no successful suits of the county based on a taking with the current ordinances, you may be setting up the county for the cost in the future by going ahead with the elimination of the protections provided by the comp plan and related ordinances, rather than simply amending them to deal with any clear issues of unfairness. Lastly, this commission is simply on the wrong side of history. Local wetlands protections will inevitably be restored, whether through referendum or future commissions, because they are necessary. It would be like rolling back restrictions on smoking. They would come back. A county with limestone karst, sandy soils, and aquifer-fed springs needs protection more than just about anywhere else in Florida. Your current course is short-sighted and disastrous environmentally and economically, but it can still be reversed if you look at the big picture and reconsider your actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce, Ashley? Howard?
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your service. Wanted to come up as the president of the Coalition for Youth and speak briefly about where we are on this year's 4th annual Operation Santa. Again, thanks to you, we are occupying the community center facility and the sanctuary side of that complex, and it's quite a sight to see, to walk in there and see the enormity. We're somewhere between 300 and 350 families. Last year was 270. This year, almost a 30% increase on families seeking help at the holiday season. All this week, we have contacted every one of those adopted families by the operation to come and shop through the donated nice clothes that we have on all of the still existing pews in the sanctuary, and they have been doing that all day, every day. We're looking at about 70-plus families a day this week coming in and shopping those clothes. Starting next week, in earnest, we will start bagging and boxing up those individual families' holiday packages based on their requests of need. We're still hopeful for more donations, both financially and adoptions. We need more to be adopted. I encourage anybody that can adopt a family to consider doing so. And thank you to the county staff. I think y'all have adopted 5 this week, and we applaud you for that. It is a heartfelt effort, and it is a large endeavor, and it will continue until December the 14th, when we will have a distribution of all of those packages and collections of mostly food and household essentials. That's what most people ask for. Sometimes a haircut, sometimes a little gas money, but it's humbling when you see the requests in the scale in which we see them. So We hope to get a little more support as we move forward. There are donation boxes in many retail locations. We don't need any more clothing. We need some toys for some kids, and we need financial and adoptions. And we thank all of you supporting that operation again this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather, are you going to handle the public hearing on the ordinance?
Yes, sir. Your first public hearing tonight is requesting board approval to conduct your public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 8 of the Wakulla County Code of Ordinances. This is the item that we have discussed previously, which would provide the county staff with authority to abate nuisance violations that are presented and found to present a serious threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. This works in conjunction with your second public hearing item, which then provides for the hard costs to be collected as a special assessment on the tax bill. We have, despite what the agenda item still has the language that originally came to you, just to let you know, we did remove the automatic foreclosure language. That's not in the ordinance you would adopt tonight.
All right, is there a motion on this?
I move to approve to conduct a public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 8 of the Wakulla County Code of Ordinances.
I second. Okay. Katie? Chuck, do you want to talk on this? Nope. All right. Any more discussion?
Could we, just...
Go ahead, Howard.
Could you just summarize what is actually going to occur?
What this does is if we are presented with a situation where there's a serious threat to the public health, safety, and welfare, whether that's a dangerous building or a nuisance accumulation of rotting garbage with rats, things like that, it
Open
gives...
structure that kids are playing in, for example, breaking glass.
Absolutely. It gives the code officer would provide the property owner with notification that they have 10 days to cure the violation, or if they disagree that there is a violation, to appeal that to the code board. If they do neither, the county could then enter the property, clean it up. The hard costs and administrative costs and collection costs would then be put on the tax bill the following year.
I just want to ask for clarification. Would the county be going in after 10 days or 90 days? I was thinking it was 90.
10. So
Only
more
if
of an
it's a
emergency
serious
situation.
Threat,
Okay.
though. Right?
Yes, serious threat to the public health,
Not
safety,
because
and welfare.
somebody doesn't like their neighbor having a pig in their yard, but...
No, not for those types
This
of
is only
violations.
for unsafe incidents.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
So this is for health, safety, and welfare, and it does not need to go before the code enforcement for this to be implemented.
Unless
That's
they
correct.
appeal it.
If any appeals would go to the code board, but
And-
otherwise it would just be done. What we're trying to do here is cut off the accumulation of excessive fines that we've seen recently. By getting these things corrected up front, it helps the property owner with no fines. It helps surrounding property owners. They don't have to endure a ongoing nuisance that's a danger to the public.
Okay. Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one is the abatement assessment ordinance that implements that. That basically sums it up, doesn't it? That implements the thing we just passed?
Yes, it allows them to be put onto the tax bill and collected through the uniform collection method.
Okay, is there a motion on that one?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, the motion is second. Katie? Chuck, did you want to talk? No, there's no more cards filled out, so I'm just going to ask Chuck every... Okay. Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. Howard, you want
Well, I think...
to wait? You want to do the other one first? Let Tim Center go first?
Absolutely.
Okay, Tim? You're going to give a brief presentation, I guess? We're on schedule to set a record for a short board meeting, so...
Well, I will help you
Okay.
maintain that record pace. I'm Tim Center. I'm the Executive Director of Capillary Community Action Agency. I live in Tallahassee, Florida. And it's an honor, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and also Commissioners, for just an opportunity to share with you what we're doing in your community, to let you know what we're doing. We're not here to ask you for anything, actually, so relieve yourself of that for a moment. And also, just a real quick indication, since 1964, the federal safety net to serve folks who are living in poverty has been carried out by the community action agencies around the country. We're one of about basically 1,000 community action agencies, one of 34 in Florida. We serve Wakulla County, Leon, and other 8 counties in our region. Last year, we spent about $100,000 in your community serving about 400 families, and 300 families, excuse me, about 800 individuals. 43% of those folks had children in their home. 15% of those families were 55 and older, sort of seniors. And we also had about 75% of those folks were living at or below poverty level, which is about $19,000 for a family of 3. In our region, we have about 22% of our population living in poverty. And it's an amazing area right now to be working in this field of what I consider to be economic development and social service. It's this combination of the two, because with education and job creation, we can provide opportunities for about 100,000 people that are living in our community who don't have very much. We have an office located in the Berry Building. Derek Sims is our staff person there. Charlene Lanier is on our board of directors. We're looking for a couple more board members from Wakulla County to represent your community and make sure we know what you are involved in and what you might need. Weatherization was an area that you all were responsible for a period of time, and we've taken that over. This past year we did about 6 homes, and we look to do about 4 to 6 homes again next year. And we're also proud of a new program that we've started called Getting Ahead and Just Getting by World. It's a program designed to take people that are living in poverty to give them the opportunity to really write a future story. It gives them an opportunity to really think about what is potentially possible in their lives and kind of begin to move in that direction with case management and providing them support in education. So we're kind of excited about that program. In that respect, we need some help in the community in terms of finding a real regular meeting location, and we also need an opportunity.
Go ahead.
And we also need an opportunity, thanks Dave, we also need an opportunity for folks who might want to help us out with meals, because we meet about 15 weeks in a row for a couple hours a day, a couple hours on those meetings. A dinner or a luncheon would be great. In the closing, I've talked to the chairman, I've talked to Dave, I've talked to some others on your team, and I just lay it out to you all. If there's anything you'd like for us to focus on, please let me know, or now or later, or Derek Sims know, or give us the opportunity to try to figure out what are the areas that you think are really important to address the needs that are in your community, because those are so much different than they are in Apalachicola, or much different than they are in Tallahassee or in Quincy. So we have the opportunity to really address your individual needs at the Capital Area Community Action Agency. It's a pleasure. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'd be glad to answer any questions for you.
The thing that got me about Tim is that you're running a nonprofit for helping out, less fortunate, but you come from a Republican background, basically, right?
I do.
You're telling me about you.
I do. My last name is Center, so I like to tell you folks that when I was in law school, my conservative friends thought I was incredibly liberal, and my liberal friends thought I was incredibly conservative. So I'm just trying to bring you to the center at this point, because if you can take care of each other, our whole community will thrive at a much better rate. And there's a way to do that without destroying those with resources and just redistributing wealth. There's a way to do this in, I think, a smart way. Folks who have stores, they want more customers. Folks who would like to go and shop, and folks like to do those sorts of things. And there's a way we can get there. And we're working through Getting Ahead. That program has a real great potential to it. We run Head Start in about 3 different counties. We think there's some opportunities there. We're really restructuring our entitlement process of paying people's utility bills when they go through emergency assistance. So we're really trying to reform what we do, and if you've got some ideas in that area, I'd love to talk to you about
We
that.
discussed that at length, by the way, about somebody gets used to having the utility bill paid every month by the government or by a organization, they rely on that, and I really like his take on it to stop that. This is entitlement spending is supposed to be a one-time. Ideally, in an ideal world, it's short-term, not this is the way life is going to be taken care of for you. So I appreciate his perspective on that.
Thank you, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Howard.
Well, thank you. I think I'll take a little moment to let our honoree get settled.
Bob, he's the one that Thurman says is a crazy brother.
Okay. So, Miss Lottie Roddenberry. Okay. Is our honored guest this evening. And while we were working with voter lists, we came across an interesting fact, and I mentioned it at a prior meeting, that the 3 oldest registered voters in Wakulla County all are residents of Sopchoppy. And we thought it would be kind of neat to honor the oldest registered voter in Wakulla County with a good voting record.
She voted for you, I take it?
We don't know that. We don't know that. She said she did. Okay, there we go.
Everybody says.
Yeah, I know. But I'd like to give the, she has entered this room, as you saw, on her own accord. And before we bring her up for the actual presentation, I know that she would like for Commissioner Harden to be able to say a few words because of the long relationship of the family. And I'd like all the rest of the commissioners to be able to say something for Miss Lottie.
Well, I'd just like to say, of course, I've known Miss Lottie Roddenberry my entire life, and I've had such great respect and admiration for her and for her whole family, and I just think she's duly honored to receive this award, and I'm glad that she's able to be here with us tonight. And one thing that's always impressed me about Miss Lottie is, she's of course 103 years old, but she could tell you exactly what she did when she was 10 years old, and she's still got her mind. And I've always enjoyed being able to talk with Miss Lottie and just find out things about my relatives and things about my ancestors that was here long before I ever even got here. But I have a lot of respect and admiration for her, and I'm glad that we're able to give Miss Lottie Roddenberry this award tonight.
Glad to have you here. You probably remember the movie house in Choppy from years and years, and the skating rink, and I'm from Smith Creek, so you probably know a lot of my people down there, but we appreciate you coming.
I would just say that Bobby's very lucky to have his mother still here with him. I wish I had mine.
Miss Roddenberry, you're just a beautiful lady. We just thank you for coming out and blessing us with your presence tonight, and just God bless you.
And we'll have Miss Lottie stand up in a moment or two. But I did relate the story of encountering Miss Lottie at the Hazardous Waste Day. And so she exhibits, at her age, a sharp sense of humor. And at 102 years old, she's looking for those extra birthdays. And just to mention her colleagues, so to speak, who are right behind her with an age of 102, Myrtle Langston, and 101, Eloise Strickland. Matter of fact, on this first page, there's a good many people who are residing in Sopchoppy. So besides ecotourism, we may have hit upon another economic factor here. But I'd like all the board members to come down and share with me the presentation of the plaque.
Where's Jessica with the camera?
I wasn't asked to bring it.
You gotta take a picture.
Miss Amanda's right there.
At least you have pants on.
Stand behind you. I'll stand in line.
Ms. Lottie thanks the board, and if Amanda maybe...
Why don't we come to her?
Yeah, why don't we gather around her and you all stand
I'll stand next to you, Howard.
Got the flag. And I think, I mentioned about David having the honor to take care of his mom. When I get old, David, I want you to take care of me too. You couldn't get better care. The first time I met David, he was taking care of his mom. So, this is for Lottie. Okay. All right, here we go.
Keep this, or do you keep it?
Sure.
Thank you.
Chop choppy, easy living goes together.
I'll bet Tupelo honey.
That's that Tupelo honey, and
Right.
that's
Cane
right.
syrup, maybe.
A little bit of cane syrup, hardened cane syrup in there every now and then.
Thank you, Howard, for that.
That was real nice.
Yes. Okay, is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Any more discussion? Chuck? All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. David?
Yes, general business, this tab, tab number 11. This agenda item requests board approval to purchase a new chassis and negotiate with an approved vendor currently on the Florida Sheriff's Association bid list for the remount of one EMS unit vehicle body. The negotiation would also include the trade-in of one unit.
Is there a motion on this?
Oh, hold
Just
on.
wait. One other thing, you all got supplemental information. The amount of the chassis invoice is $37,534, and then we need any motion that you make, if it pleases the board, approval to negotiate up to an additional $60,000 and authorization for David to sign the agreement for the remounting.
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second motion.
Any discussion?
Yes. I asked this earlier, but I'd like to get some clarification on it. Back in April, we approved to surplus out 2 units and to re-chassis 2 units. At that time, the agenda item stated that we can get by with 6 units, that we typically have 3 on duty 24 hours a day, sometimes have 4 in service, and then sometimes 5 in service. Well, this agenda item now says that we need 7 units. And I understand that we do have 7 units, and re-chassising this would still give us 7 units. So I still have a uncertainty of, you know, what's changed since April when we made that decision that affected 4 units. Do we really need 6 units? Do we really need 7 units? That's the first question. And then also, we have 2 brand new 2013 units. And I looked at the other units that's in place. Rescue 3 this past year has accumulated about 7,600 miles. Rescue 4 about 3,800 miles, and so it looks like those are good spares. And they're the highest mileage that we have. I'm just wondering if we really need 6 and 7 is a bonus, then that's fantastic. And looking at this, the purchase makes sense. The fund is healthy. We've got the money in there. We certainly want to stay on top of good service with our ambulances. I'm just wondering if we could support this, but maybe kick it down the road and get a little bit more out of this money and not spend this $100,000 right now. I mean, that seems to be, we can still have a unit in backup, and even if it's the one with the highest mileage at 155,000, that's only accumulated about 3,800 miles this year. And so, you know, next year this time it wouldn't be that much greater mileage on that vehicle.
Anything changed since April?
We learned to count since April.
But it should have been 7 in April.
And that's on my end, not on Mr. Edwards' end. To be very truthful with it, when I sat down with Mr. Edwards and we went over the plan of the other 2 ambulances, there was a 9th ambulance that we owned that was sitting behind our vendor's garage that had not been running over a year. And it just had gotten dropped from our current list. It was still on our inventory, but it had not got it, and that was where the 9th ambulance came from. It hadn't been in service for years. So that's what the difference is. And since that time, and we do have it, the 2 issues, whether we need 6 or 7, my feelings are that because we have 7 and we're not putting a lot of mileage on the other ones, it would pay to keep it simply because of when it happens type situation. We almost, or 2/3 of the time, every day, 2/3 of every week, we run 4 ambulance calls at the same time. Very frequently, we run 5. And we do that with cross-trained firefighters, and we do that with all-duty personnel, and we have that. So if we have 6 and one of them's in the shop, we only have 5, and then we have no spare, or we don't have anything left to run that. The other is cost. The chassis that we are buying is actually out of the same block that the vendor bought earlier this year. He still had one left of the other model year. There will be an increase. I can't tell you, whether there's a drastic increase in price, but especially if we waited for he said the increase went on November 7th. We told him we were bringing it to the board. He would hold the price till this board action. And after the first of the year, after the next budget year, then it would be another model year, so there would be 2 increases.
What fund is this coming out of?
1 cent sales tax, public safety.
And I want to be clear that I'm certainly not advocating that we go from 7 units to 6 units. We own 7 units, let's keep the 7 units. I'm just wondering if we could take that 7 unit, the 7th unit that we're proposing to re-chassis now, and just keep it as a backup, since we don't typically hit 7 units in service at one time, and let's just delay this purchase. Like I said, we've got the money, the purchase makes sense, but if we could delay it, if we can get another year out of what we have, that unit only accumulated 3,800 miles this past year. If we can delay that another year, we're just squeezing the taxpayers' dollars a little further.
You know if that F-150-04 has a 6-liter in it?
It has a problem in it. I'm mechanical, but we've had trouble with the Fords. Yes, sir.
We've had, and that's one of the things one of our main focus was to go ahead and purge the Fords out of our fleet, and and this is the last of that purging. The next, what we looked at was, in our 5-year budget, I think we have one more of these, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to remount. But the next one, the next one comes in 4 or 5 years out, and that's when we'll actually buy the whole new unit, the entire ambulance.
Like I say, on the 6-liter Power Strokes, they have big problems with EGR and head gaskets. And
yeah, that's the reason we're trying to purge.
And that's what we did with the 2 surplus units. Those were 2008 models. This is a 2004 model, which it's older, but it doesn't contain that same engine with that same problem.
If it's the 2004s, it wasn't the one we were having trouble with.
Right.
I don't know if it's a 6-liter or not.
Right.
The other purpose of the third one, it would give us 3 frontline engines. 3 frontline units that are new and that much more reliable that time.
I'm going to go along with whatever you figure is the best to do, and I appreciate your point, though. If any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. All right, volunteer fire department
Stay up there, Chief.
agreement.
You maybe have something on this one. This tab is request board approval. Oops, excuse me. I was fixing to talk about Brian's lights.
I don't want to get up here.
Sorry about that. Fire services agreement. Request board approval of fire services agreement between Wakulla County and the volunteer fire departments. We entered into, this is redoing our old agreement with the volunteer fire departments. What we wanted to come out of this was mainly to have one contract with all of our volunteer fire departments, so they're all equal and all on the same lines. All of the fire departments have agreed to, with the exception, or signed each one of the contracts with the exception of St. Mark's, and the city attorney for St. Mark's is currently reviewing theirs. And in your agenda item, I won't read all through there, but it lists out all the different things that that this does, and it formalizes with our VFD's agreements. We have what we have to do, they have what they have to do, and it's all stipulated out.
Everybody's read this contract, I assume?
Twice.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, is there a motion on this item?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, is there any more discussion?
One thing,
Chuck?
on the motion, this will replace the existing agreement, so I'd just like that noted.
Move to approve the agreement between Wakulla County and the volunteer fire departments and direct staff to execute the agreement with the various volunteer fire departments.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Now on to Brian's lights.
Okay. This requests board approval to purchase agreement with Musco Sports Lighting LLC to provide lighting for Medart Park Field number 3. This is to replace the lighting there. Brian chose Musco Lighting to piggyback on a contract with those. With Musco, it comes with a 25-year warranty on that will replace bulbs, do service, etc. on these, as well as cut our cost, our lighting costs, etc.
Any motion?
This comes out of the 1 cent sales tax, by the way, for recreation.
I make a motion, we approve the purchase agreement from Musco Sports Lighting LLC for the purchase of lighting at Medart Park Field number 3.
Second.
Any more discussion?
All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Louis, did you want to get the update on the bus shelter signs?
Yeah, I'll be brief, but this is really just an informational item. When the county was updating its sign regulations, the board requested us to determine the status of the bus shelter signs that we have in the county. We've counted 13, and based on the state of Florida regulations, we've determined that none of these are conform to state requirements, and according to our rules as well, they are legally non-conforming, which means they can remain in place until they are destroyed or damaged more than 50%. What staff will do is, we've been in contact with the owners of these signs. We are going to send them a letter informing them in writing of what the legal status of their signs is, and we'll report back on that.
Is there any questions for Louis on this? Go ahead.
I have a question, Louis. I can't get this straight in my mind. So you can have a legal non-conforming sign?
Yes, just like a legal non-conforming house that doesn't meet elevation requirements for FEMA, for example.
Yeah, they were legally permitted, as far as we can tell, based on the information we have. The regulations of the state changed, so they are no longer conforming to the current regulations. That's why we call them legal non-conforming.
Okay.
It's like a piece of property that was...
They were legal when they were put in.
Wakulla Gardens is legally non-conforming.
So I go out and put up a sign. Am I legal non-conforming?
No, then you're illegally non-conforming.
You need to get a permit.
Then you're not just not.
Yeah, they were legal at the time they were placed, but they don't meet the current regulations.
Love government.
I make a motion we accept staff findings regarding the status of the bus stop signs.
Second.
Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Howard?
Thank you. This is a Commissioner agenda item we're up to.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This agenda item requests the board to approve action to vote to have a workshop on January 9th, 2014 regarding concerns, issues of our seniors in the R.H. Carter Senior Center. One of Wakulla's most valuable assets is its senior citizens. They have contributed beyond their fair share to our community's economic and social well-being, a debt more than we can ever hope to return. Because of the budget cuts at the federal, state, county, economic situation, there may be areas that could be more adequately addressed if we gain a better knowledge of that, and that's what this is asking for.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second? All right, Heather, you got anything?
Okay. Just a couple announcements, and then we'll get on to another item. Representative Southern on staff, and this is to the public, will host a mobile office tomorrow, the 19th, at the county admin building across the street between 2 o'clock and 4 p.m. Southern staff will provide input on legislation, will answer questions related to Social Security, Medicare, housing, IRS, Veteran Affairs, and immigration. So make sure that all your constituents and everybody understands if they have questions, please come and between 2 and 4 tomorrow. Reminder to request to serve on the Charter Review Committee. Currently we have 11 requests. We need many more than that, and our close date is Friday the 22nd, and we have 11 so far. Secondly is it's an honor, and I think it's a great honor for Wakulla County. Randy today was named our Chairman Merritt. He was named the chairman of our CRTPA, which is the Capital Regional Transportation. He is the first and only Wakulla County elected official to serve as the chairman. This is a very important organization. It's comprised of 4 counties, Gadsden, Jefferson, Leon, and Wakulla, and they distribute DOT dollars to our county. It's comprised of 15 members, 7 members from Leon County, 3 members from Tallahassee, 2 from Gadsden.
and one from Leon County School Board, and one each from Jefferson and Wakulla County. So it's a great honor for our county. Randy has, for the first time within the CRTPA, actually have discussions now about how can we help Wakulla County. So congratulations,
Thank you.
Chairman. The next item is, it is that time of year to request the board to select and vote for chairman and
I
vice
make
chair.
a motion, Mr. Administrator, that Richard Harden be appointed as chairman and Ralph Thomas as vice chairman.
Do we have, do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay. Any discussion, please?
Yeah, I'll discuss. I voted when Commissioner Moore made his last year's motion for the present officers, Commissioner Harden, Commissioner Merritt. I will not be voting for this, and it'll be the first time that that I will be voting against installation of officers. And the reason I'm doing that is I think this board has really stooped to a level of civility and cooperation that I haven't seen in the years that I've been on this board. I'll read this under discussion. What I didn't read, as far as I assume everyone on the board had read the item that I was asking for a workshop for, but not to second a workshop, not to have discussion on why to have a workshop or not to have a workshop. I would never vote against a workshop. So I don't think that's the reason I'll be voting it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. The installment will be next at our next board meeting, December the 9th.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and Chairman, you have done an excellent job. Thank you.
Yes, you have.
Thank you. Okay.
I do have one more item as official act as chairman, because you're not chairman yet.
No, be the next minute.
We're going to follow our own policy about office assignments. You move into mine. Ralph, you move into Richard's.
I'm fine staying where I'm
Well,
at. I think I got the smallest office, and I
Well,
hardly use
I'm going
it.
to move into yours. The chair, to make this simple so there's no politics in this crap, the chairman gets the office I have. Richard's chairman, he gets that office. The vice chair gets the office next to it, and that's the way we voted before to do it. You stay where you're at. Howard stays where he's at. I'll move in Ralph's office, which is the smallest one.
I mean, I'm okay with it either way, but
Well,
I'm fine
We're
staying.
trying to set it consistent. We're down the road. If there is conflict between, because there has been in the past, there's been conflict between board members saying, no, I want that office. This way it's straightforward, boom. And, I could say, well, that's fine. I'd like to stay where I'm at. I'm going to step down. You know how big yours is. I mean, you can turn around twice and probably hit both walls.
I'm easy, either way.
Commissioner Thomas, one thing that we're talking with that we'll need to make sure is
Yes,
that
sir.
with Commissioner Harden, or soon to be elect Chairman Harden, with his job in Jefferson County, there may be times we'll need to contact you when he can't make
Franklin County.
Franklin County to sign some documents. So I want to make sure you're okay with that.
I'm usually very close.
That's right. You're very close. So there very well may be that time, and there will be that time.
I have no problem.
Okay.
I would,
Sit where you're sitting.
well, I would like to thank the board for allowing me the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
It's
Chairman,
not
it's
that
back to you.
hard.
Citizens be heard.
Now it's Chuck. I'm going to leave this card right here for Richard, Chuck, that says, don't forget about Chuck. I'll stay right here.
Okay, Chuck Hess, 112 Lake Ellen Circle. And I guess I have to make my comments about the last meeting. I was really disappointed. Now, I recognize that you feel that the public gets up and uses you and calls you out individually, and you are offended by that. I try to stay away from that. But you have to remember, in your position, You can't use individuals of the public in your comments. They can't respond. Now, if I got up and I wanted to give Chairman Merritt heck about whatever he's, just said.
Probably about a wetland.
Probably about a wetland, okay. He has the opportunity, because he has the bully pulpit, to come back and say whatever he wants. But when you start commenting directly about a citizen, they only have their 3 minutes. And if they've already used them, they don't get a chance to defend themselves. And that's unfair and not a right action, a correct and proper action. So I would encourage the new chairman to make sure that that type of activity doesn't occur by the board, okay? You can, I don't have a problem with you defending yourselves and, that kind of stuff. That's not the issue. The issue is calling out a citizen when they can't respond. If you want to call them up and have a debate with them right here, I'm good with that. But don't call them out when they can't respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Ralph, you got anything you want to talk about?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Welcome, Richard.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I've said my piece on the office assignment. Richard, you got anything?
I've got two things. One thing, what we had mentioned earlier about the Charter Review Committee, that the deadline, I believe you said, is the 22nd. Is that deadline? We've got 11 people that have put in for 15 positions right now. And if I remember right, the Charter Review Committee, we're about 2 years out from the actual requirement. We actually started early, didn't we? So we have some room to where, say, if we was to extend that deadline a little bit longer to just allow more citizens the opportunity to submit their name for that committee, how would the board feel about that? I know, are we concrete on that date, or?
You'll have your people by that date. You'll have more than your 15.
That'll be something that if we don't by the next meeting, that you guys will have to vote to extend it at that point in time. So this.
Okay. All right. And the other thing, I know Commissioner Castro is going to bring it up here, but I want to give my explanation of why it is that I didn't second the motion earlier. For one, I'm very supportive of the Senior Citizen Center. I'm very supportive. Y'all had seen recently where I had pledged my salary each month, the increase each month, to go towards the Senior Citizens Meals on Wheels. Well, it just happened to be today before the meeting. I went by the Senior Citizen Center, and I've made good on it the second month in a row, giving them my increase to go towards the Meals on Wheels program. But the Senior Citizens Center is a nonprofit organization, and they have a Senior Citizens Council that's close to 20, I want to say close to 20 members on that board. Everything that involves the senior citizens of our county that goes through that Senior Citizen Center, there's a Senior Citizens Council that is already in place to handle those issues, and I don't understand why we would have to create have a workshop to create a committee to duplicate the services that the Senior Citizens Council already does. I'm very supportive of seniors. I'm very supportive of the Senior Center. I believe that the Senior Citizens Council that's in place is well equipped to handle any needs that arise in our county concerning the senior citizens, and that was the reason earlier why I chose not to second the motion.
I changed my mind. I am going to say, I'd like our new chairman to notice the time on the clock.
Okay.
I think it's something outside, at least expedite the meetings, and I'd like you to keep the tone of trying to treat everyone even-handed and fair, and not lose temper or not take things personally. I think when y'all did your orientation, one of the things I said was don't take yourself so seriously, and it's not that different. In fact, the chairman, I think, is the least powerful commissioner because they don't generally make a motion, they don't generally make seconds. So,
But I did want to explain my position earlier.
That's fine. But again, please keep. I tried to be fair, and I think a lot of people appreciate that.
Thank you.
Howard, sorry.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I'm going to finish reading, and by the way, there is no committee that was to be set up with this. This was a workshop. This is a workshop to have the senior center representatives and to have seniors throughout the community come. That's what it said in here. So I'll finish reading a little bit more. Seniors have contacted me expressing considerable concerns that funds available for essential services such as transportation and meals supplied by government and charity organizations are being further reduced. And they are concerned that those reductions will make it almost impossible for them to meet their basic needs, including such things as keeping medical appointments, shopping for essentials, and obtaining meals. Therefore, I request that we hold this workshop to determine what are the present and future gaps in meeting our senior citizens' needs. State officials, local senior center, local and state charitable organizations, and other concerned officials and people should be invited to testify, as well as senior citizens and senior citizen advocates and the general public. So, if after that there would have been a need to set up a committee, that would be the board's decision. But it was to get the community together to address all of our seniors' needs, not just the senior center.
Well, I just want to, there again, I believe that the Senior Citizens Council is there to address all of the needs of the senior citizens, and I think you're not giving them enough credit. I believe that I have full faith in our Senior Citizens Center and its administrative staff, and I have full faith in the council to meet the needs of all, and to identify and meet the needs as best of their ability to all the seniors in our community.
Well, I met with the director, Maurice Langston, a month or so ago, and talked over things. I don't think that we as a board have a lot of discussion with the senior center, with seniors, with senior advocates. I think that was lacking, and I think there was an opportunity that we just missed. So that was the whole purpose of that, and I don't want to burn any more books. Our chairman, burn any more books is like when you don't want to know something, you just throw it into the fire. Oh, no, I didn't mix metaphors, but that's okay, I try to sometimes. The position of the chairman. At that last meeting, and I did make a comment when there were personal things going on. The position of the chairman is a powerful position in the running of the meeting. The position of the chairman has been able to reduce, when he saw fit, the time that a citizen would speak, or how a certain question would flow. But there's also an issue that concerns me, and I'm not speaking to you, Commissioner, Chairman Merritt, specifically, but in general, to any chairman, that I think as a board, besides, and not besides, we need to have fair treatment, just as you said. But there also needs to be some effort to have, as best as we can do, besides treatment, truthfulness in statements made up here at the board. And so it's obviously wrong to make false or misleading statements. And I would hope that if the chairman is aware of that being the case, that he would call for clarification.
And Howard, as you know, you've been chairman before, there's a real fine line between what you're saying and being called a bully. There's a very, very fine line. I've tried to walk that. You know, I've called out Jerry before, and I've called you out on things that were, you know, factually wrong, but to say someone's opinion, or, you know what I'm saying. And it's a
absolutely.
Point at this point.
Absolutely.
But you understand, you've been there. There's a real fine line between trying to keep things running smoothly and allowing somebody to say what they want to say, right? What Ralph said, that's his right to do that, because he's elected. And it's a real fine line, you know. Maybe I would have done it different, I don't know, but it's a fine line. And you know what I'm saying. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that the point that Chuck Hess made is a point that we as all commissioners should understand. We're not just citizens sitting up here. We have all the bully pulpit right now. When we personally attack someone or personally put someone on the spot, They are defenseless in responding to us. It's unfair.
And I think not dealing with the issue Ralph had, but I said that when we were having discussion items, that if it's something that we can talk with outside of the meeting, because on discussion items especially, I can lay into Bob Danzy, for example, all day long. He can't say a word back. And if it's not something we're going to vote on, then that's more appropriately done outside. You know, if it is something we are going to vote on, then I think really the only time that can be done is then. Ralph, I'll come back to you, but you...
Yeah, I'd like to respond since this keeps coming up. I like the choice of words about a personal attack. I think anybody can play the video back and see that I maintained my composure. I didn't get disrespectful to anyone. I do not see it as a personal attack. I see it as a you know, just putting the facts out there that's not being shared. If we're going to have dialogue, let's look at both sides. Let's talk about both sides of it. And that's all that I did. Everyone has a chance to get up here and speak every night. I mean, every time we have a meeting, they can come, you know, we hear things about the wetlands when there's nothing on the agenda about the wetlands. So there's ample opportunity for them to say their piece. I clearly stated at that presentation that I was not accusing any of those folks of doing anything wrong. I was under the assumption that everything had been properly permitted or properly exempt. I clearly stated that. And I'll state here today that anything that you, Commissioner Kessler, built on your property or the other two people, I am in support of that. I believe that you should have the right to use your property. My point in using those examples was for no other point, just to say that the luxury that you have and those other two examples have, everyone deserves that same right. We keep hearing that we have a right to vote. You absolutely have a right to vote. No one on this board is impeding that. That vote will go forward if those petitions are signed. We're not impeding that. But you also have a right to use your property. And we can't use the right to vote to take away another right that we don't agree with. And so I stand by what I said, and I think I did it in a respectful manner, just because people may see it differently. And I guess it would be real good to win an argument if you're able to silence the other side of it. But, you know, I have a right to speak just like everyone has a right to speak, and I will defend that.
If y'all want to give me a going-away present, let's please not have a long discussion about wetlands.
I'm done.
Oh, no, I'm not intending to do that right now.
Okay.
No. Did you expect that?
It happens every meeting. Statistically, I figured it would. But anyway.
No. My closing thing, I guess, and it also is where you're almost going away, President, is Commissioner Moore has repeatedly falsely accused me.
There we go.
And I want to know when he's going to be man enough to apologize to the staff, the public, and myself.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion passes. I'm taking my rubber band with me.
Oh, thank you.
Put all this stuff in there, Ralph. You got anything in there?
Nothing that I need.